I was held involuntarily and locked in a psychiatric hospital for saying that I didn't want to be pregnant anymore. Now I want to go full scorched earth. I am a first-time mom, and this was a planned and wanted pregnancy. I am still trying to process the last 72 hours, which has caused me significant trauma and distress. I am writing this out publicly to warn other mothers. This happened in Texas. I am currently 9+1. I have been in the ER a couple of times for severe 247 nausea, which is triggering significant panic attacks. The nausea is the worst at night and has been keeping me from sleeping, which makes my anxiety worse. Plus, I'm unable to keep down food and liquids. It's been seriously horrible. My first 2 ER doctors were at separate ER locations and both gave me hydration. One gave me Zofran plus sugar, but then I had issues with the Zofran backing me up. I had another bad night of puking and panic attacks, and I called my mom in the morning crying because I was so miserable. She said she would go to a different ER with me, one that was a full hospital that had OBs on staff. When I got there, I explained the situation to a male ER doctor who spoke with me for less than 5 minutes. I told him my issues with waking up with nausea, then panic attacks, then sleeping. I told him that the panic attacks combined with everything scared me and made me not want to be pregnant anymore, but I made it clear to him that I just wanted relief and had no plan on hurting myself or anyone else. He refused to give me any medication, not even in 4-bag to help with fluids. He sent a social worker to talk to me about the panic attacks and she could find a facility that would take me who could help with medication plus sleep, etc. I said okay because I was so desperate at that point and had been in the ER for hours with no help whatsoever. He never even called OB. I haven't even had an ultrasound. I get sent to the new clinic, and by the time I get through processing, it's 3 a.m., and I'm crying because I'm having high anxiety, and I haven't slept. They never gave me my nighttime medications or anything. I finally went to bed around 4 a.m., and then they woke me back up at 6 a.m. to do my vitals and said I needed to go itemize my belongings. Once I woke up, the nausea hit me immediately, and I asked for Zofran, which they refused because I had to see the internal medicine doctor first. I didn't get Zofran until 10:30 a.m., at which point I had missed breakfast and was nonstop puking. But the doctor would only allow 1 4 milligrams pill every 12 hours. I was so sick. Eventually, I was seen by a psychiatrist who I thought would be able to help me with meds, but he said no. I couldn't take anything because I was pregnant, and I'd have to talk to a different doctor who wasn't going to be in until Monday. This was on Saturday. At that point, I freaked out because now I'm away from home, and they aren't giving me my over-the-counter meds like Unison plus B6 for nausea or my prenatal. And they're not giving me enough Zofran to keep the nausea at bay. I said I wanted to leave then as I was there voluntarily and the doctor was mad and said I'd have to sign an AMA form, and he placed me on a 24-hour hold where the other doctor talked to me before the 24 hours and determined if they try to get a court order to keep me. I was so shocked. I asked if there was any way I could talk to someone as I didn't want to say, and they were holding me involuntarily at that point. He said no. I'm a panicky sick mess after this and go through all the paperwork they gave me, which included the Patient Bill of Rights, which stated patients had the right to be discharged within 4 hours of the request unless the doctor believed I was a danger to myself or others, or that I was mentally unable to make medical decisions for myself. I requested a written justification from the doctor outlining which of those reasons he was using to justify the 24-hour hold, and he refused. He just kept saying I wasn't allowed to leave until I spoke with the other doctor who wasn't going to be until the next day. At around 3:30, my mom and fiancé came for visitation, and I brought my paperwork with me and showed them the patient rights documents. They were pissed, so they stayed 2.5 hours after the visitation and argued with them to release me so I could go home since they weren't even treating me anyway and withholding medications. The doctor refused to talk to my family even though I specifically included them on my medical release forms. So they had a right to request that information and were requesting a justification for keeping me there past the 4 hours. It got so bad my mom even called the cops and filed a police report. They refused to let me go, so I had to stay another night without Zofran and couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't keep food or water down. There was no doctor on staff at the time, so when the nurses called to get my Zofran prescription increased, the doctor didn't answer, and they couldn't do anything for me. I could tell the nurses were trying their best and were very frustrated for me. The original doctor came back an hour before the 24 hours were up and clearly did not want to talk to me. I think the other doctor said he wasn't getting involved because it was turning into a legal situation at that point. He was super short with me, and when I requested justification for the 24-hour hold, he said to the ER doctor and said I didn't want to be pregnant anymore and used that as justification. I'm absolutely floored at this point. He didn't want to speak further about the issue and discharged me. But apparently, no one knew how to discharge me because it's the weekend, so it took another few hours to even leave. The whole situation was so miserable, and I legitimately feel traumatized by the experience. I still feel like I need help with the nausea and panic attacks, but I'm scared to go back to the ER now. It's been so horrible, and I don't know what to do besides talk to my OB at my upcoming appointment and hope she's more understanding of my problems. I will file complaints with the hospital and the state regarding what happened. I will also consult with a few lawyers to see if I have a case against them. This whole experience has left me feeling incredibly hopeless and frustrated with the medical system. I feel like I was punished for saying I didn't want to be pregnant anymore. As for me, I am currently staying with my mom's. I was able to finally get some rest and take enough Zofran and Unisam plus B6 to keep the puking at bay for a bit. I'm trying my best to keep my cool and avoid a panic attack. Update 2 days later, I did see my Nuvagen and had my first ultrasound. My little guy is measuring right on time and has a heartbeat of 167. I feel relieved knowing he is safe there and doing well. I explained the whole situation to my OB, and she was incredibly understanding. She gave me a new prescription of Zofran and took some labs while I was there to check my electrolytes and probably some other things. I'll have another follow-up with her soon. At this point, I feel comfortable enough working with her, so that's my current plan. As for complaints and legal stuff, there isn't much movement on that front due to the holiday, but I still have every intention to pursue those options and will try to update as much as I can. I am going to continue to work diligently with my OB, psychiatrist, and hopefully, a therapist so I can really unpack this entire situation. As I said before, I'll try to update as much as I can, but I'm sure the complaint and legal process will be slow-moving. I'd also like to ask if you know any attorneys in the DFW area who may be interested in this case?